Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. It's been nearly 30 years since the Reverend Jesse Jackson led a protest outside of a Dennys restaurant in Annapolis alleging racial discrimination. Today, community leaders and activists gathered at that same Dennys to announce a statewide protest of the restaurant chain. Organizers say there have been several acts recently of racial discrimination. They include a black couple who say a white waitress denied them a table. In another incident, the Reverend Margaret Morris says that police were called after she questioned the bill. Morris says that tells her that things haven't changed.
You have several incidents where African Americans, black persons, complained about the quality of food they were getting, and 911 was called on them. You had someone else that said they came in and there were a black family standing there, and the waitress looked them in their face, said, "I can't take you," and goes to seat another Caucasian family that walks in later. So these are the types of complaints, and all of these complaints were alleging that these were racially discriminated acts. So that's not somebody exaggerating, that's not somebody doing a cozy-feely thing. That's what was happening, and we need them to look into that and to see whether or not that's isolated. And if it is isolated, corporate Dennys has not addressed it, and we need for them to do that today.
The statewide protests are set for Saturday, June 5th at 10 a.m. For more information, you can go to the web address on your screen. The family of George Floyd visits the White House this afternoon on the one-year anniversary of his murder by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. Chauvin was found guilty in April of second and third-degree murder, as well as second-degree manslaughter for causing Floyd's death. He was videotaped pinning his knee on Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes. The incident sparked protests across the globe urging police reform. Some say while changes have been made, more needs to be done.
Yes, on the anniversary of George Floyd's death, I'm here to say that once again, nobody I don't think could really get over what we saw and experienced. It was like a modern day lynching. However, here in the state of Maryland, I do want to applaud our state officials, our delegates and our senators who were able to put some policies in place that really help with police reform. Having said that, when we look across our nation, there are still multiple incidents where there are still modern day lynchings of African Americans throughout our nation, and so we still have much work to do until we can really eliminate as much as possible in our power to eliminate racism, eradicate it here in our nation. It's going to take more than just prayer. It's going to take deep dive conversations, and it's going to take great accountability and transparency. And until we see that, we have to continue to struggle. And so that's what I see still yet here since the George Floyd death since last year.
The Floyd family meeting at the White House was held privately. Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh plans to appeal a federal judge's decision that allows protesters to sue an arresting officer. The lawsuit came about after gun rights advocates were arrested during a peaceful protest near the State House 3 years ago. They sued the arresting Maryland Capitol Police officer for allegedly violating their constitutional rights to speak freely and be free of unreasonable seizure. Frosh argues that Sergeant Brian Pope has qualified immunity from being sued because brothers Jeff and Kevin Hulbert had disobeyed a lawful order to move to Lawyers Mall, an area reserved for protests. 7 more Marylanders died from COVID-19 over the last 24 hours, bringing the total number to 8,838. Prince George's has moved from the second highest number of deaths in the state to the third. Baltimore now has 1,496 deaths, only one less than Montgomery County. Prince George's has 1,466. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Coming up, the Memorial Day holiday is upon us and air travel is picking up. We'll have details after the break.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandpa and grandma need them.
Thank you, first responders.
We look out for the helpers because they look out for us.
At the end of the day, this is what I signed up for as a first responder, and this is what I love to do. And I'm going to continue going to work day in and day out and providing help to those that need it.
Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Love you. Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thanks.
Welcome back. AAA Mid-Atlantic is out with its Memorial Day weekend travel forecast. Spokesperson John Townsend says unlike last year, when there were relatively few travelers due to the pandemic, they expect the numbers to rebound significantly this year. Townsend says more than 930,000 people in the D.C. region are expected to travel 50 miles or more this holiday weekend. Townsend says with vaccinations up and COVID numbers declining, people are eager to get out.
So this year, it's almost like a family reunion. I want to see family and friends I haven't seen in almost a year. They're vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. The kids are good to go. We're going to have special protocols for them, but we will travel.
And Townsend says if you combine the total populations of Maryland, Virginia, and D.C., 2.6 million will be traveling by car. And as more and more people are getting vaccinated and COVID restrictions are loosening, more people are returning to the friendly skies. According to Homeland Security and TSA, this past Sunday saw the highest volume of air travelers nationally since the beginning of the pandemic. TSA screened 1.8 million people. That's 7 times higher than the same date last year and 90% of volume on the same date in 2019, pre-pandemic.
It's really fantastic to see people traveling again to visit friends and family across the country. It's a positive sign that our nation is beginning to recover from this most challenging pandemic.
Keep in mind the federal mask mandate for airplanes, buses, trains, and other forms of public transportation are still in place. Well, a Baltimore County resident just won $40,000 through the state's vaccine incentive program. As residents continue to get their shots, officials today announced the first winner of the Vax Cash promotion. For the next 39 days, there will be a drawing worth $40,000. So if you're vaccinated, you could be a winner. On July 4th, the final day of the promotion, the drawing will be a jackpot of $400,000. The lottery promotion is an effort to encourage more Marylanders to get vaccinated. Prince George's County has retained its AAA bond rating. County Executive Angela Alsobrooks says the top financial rating reflects very strong fiscal management and a broad and very diverse local economy. The AAA bond rating from Fitch, Moody's, and Standard & Poor's came despite pandemic-related challenges. Still ahead, get ready for a 2-for-1 experience tonight. Plus, Maryland coach Brenda Fries gets a contract extension. We'll have details coming up.
I moved to Florida with literally pennies in my pocket and a prayer. I needed a new start. Dacian looks like a very typical 3-year-old until you ask him, "What's your name? How old are you?" My son has a lot of behaviors that would show as being autistic. Most kids can tolerate a variety of foods, but unfortunately for Dacian, everything has to be organic and raw. I wasn't ashamed to go to the food pantries. It's expensive to eat healthy, and nutrition is very important to Dacian's health. The healthy organic food that we receive dramatically helped his social skills. Most people would say, she really doesn't have much of a life. But to me, I have everything right there next to me and my son.
Thanks for staying with us. A former Maryland Attorney General throws his hat in the 2022 governor's race. Democrat Doug Gansler joins the crowded list of candidates vying to be Maryland's next top leader. He served 2 terms as Attorney General and made an unsuccessful bid for governor in 2014.
I served 8 years as Attorney General fighting for justice for every Marylander. Now I'm running for governor because these challenges require someone with the experience to get the job done and finally deliver on the bold vision we share as progressive Democrats. And I'm thinking bold.
Gansler previously served as the state's attorney for Montgomery County. He joins other well-known Democratic candidates like Peter Franchot and Rashawn Baker. Well, tonight's the moon is going to give us a special double feature. It'll not only be the second and biggest supermoon of the year, but it will also be a lunar eclipse. Sky watchers can catch a glimpse of a rare lunar trifecta called a super blood moon, which will begin this evening and end about 5:45 tomorrow morning.
The moon actually keeps Earth's orbit and rotation stable. So without the moon to stabilize us, the Earth would be kind of wobbling a little bit. It wouldn't be as nice a planet to live on. Tonight, there's going to be a full moon, which is always a beautiful thing to behold. It's also going to be a super moon, which means that the moon will be a little bit bigger and brighter than average. And then finally, early in the morning, there's going to be a lunar eclipse in which the Earth will go in between the sun and the moon and cast its shadow onto the moon, and it may turn the moon a little red.
And why is it turning red?
So the moon turns red because the only sunlight that reaches the moon gets filtered through Earth's atmosphere. So it's actually the same phenomenon that gives us brilliantly colored sunrises and sunsets. The blue light gets scattered and red light passes through.
And the supermoon will appear red for about 15 minutes this evening and will be visible across the U.S. For those located west of the Mississippi River, you can see the total lunar eclipse. For those of us east of the waterway, it will be a partial eclipse. And on to sports news, head coach Brenda Freese will be staying put in College Park. The University of Maryland women's basketball coach has her contract extended through the 2026-2027 season. Her new 6-year deal will go into effect this month, and Freese says she has high goals for her players and her staff going forward.
You know, I've been blessed to win a national championship. You know, I want as many players and coaches and support staff to be able to cut down as many nets as they can in their time in Maryland. And, you know, and then to continue on, you know, in that 4 or 5 year career that they get here at Maryland, to be ready to walk out into the real world and be ready to tackle, you know, anything. So that mentorship, you know, is also something, you know, now at this later point in my life that, you know, is really, really important.
Freese was named National Coach of the Year by ESPN, the Associated Press, and The Athletic this past season. Let's get a quick check now on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 68. Wednesday, partly sunny with a chance of afternoon thunderstorms, a daytime high near 93 and an evening low around 68. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high near 87, a low of 63, and Friday, expect showers throughout the day with a high near 77 and a low around 56. Now for your community calendar, learn how to manage your mental health and addiction in the workplace. The Maryland Commission on Civil Rights is hosting a workshop to offer interventions, coping strategies, and more. The event is tomorrow, Wednesday, May 26th from noon until 2 p.m. Participants will have the option of 2 40-minute breakout rooms of their choice. For more information and registration, visit mccr.events/mental health. And that wraps up our newscast. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great night.